High-speed rail.
We have spent more than $14 billion.
$14 billion on high-speed rail. Do you continue? Do you continue building, or do you call it quits? Why do you think we haven't been able to do it thus far? How much more money are you willing to spend? Do you think now you can get it done during your term as governor? Do you walk away? Or?
Look, it's a joke.
But can you finish it?
Total joke. No, we should not be throwing good money after bad. This is a joke. They promised that this would be a way of getting from San Francisco to LA in 2 hours or so, and it'll be open by now. None of that's ever going to be delivered. Right now, it's been the most expensive piece of railway construction in the history of the world. And all they've done is put things in the flattest and simplest part of the proposed route, which is the Central Valley. Imagine what it's going to be when they try and go through the mountains to LA. I think they've even given up on that idea. And they're now talking about maybe by 2040, you can get from Merced to Palmdale. I don't even know what. It changes all the time. They're in a complete mess and a muddle. They don't know what they're doing. They have no plan to deliver on the first idea that they put forward and which they sold to the voters of California. And by the way, even if that was delivered, that again, coming back to these false promises and ideology, it was all pitched on the basis of climate. It's going to get people out of cars into trains. We're going to save carbon emissions. They had a big number for how many car journeys it would stop and it would prevent from taking place. When you actually look at that number, it's not like 130 billion car journeys. Sounds like a big number. When you actually compare it to the number of car journeys, it's like 0.01%. Even on its own terms, it wasn't going to deliver what they said. It's a total joke. We shouldn't put good money after bad. I spent a lot of time in the Central Valley, however, because I don't believe in waste. What can we do with what has been built? And so I'm talking to local leaders there about what we can do. For example, I think there's a lot of interest in maybe an additional Amtrak line just for the Central Valley. There's hopefully things we can do to make sure the money that has already been spent isn't wasted, but I certainly wouldn't put any new money into it.
High-speed rail. Do you support finishing it?
Absolutely not. It's the biggest waste of money I have ever seen in my entire life. And so much so that they're trying to not bribe people. They're trying to psychologically influence people to believe that it's somehow good and now they can make it better. It's impossible to go from San Francisco to Los Angeles. So let's take a third of that track and we'll really push for that no one's going to ride. I mean, there is no one wanting to go between Modesto and Bakersfield and pay $300 when they can drive it for $60 and it's barely less than or barely more than half the time.
Just throw that money away.
You have to. You have to. You can't, if it's your own budget and you keep breaking your bank, your monthly bills over something that's never ever going to happen other than keep draining your bank, do you just keep doing it because you say, I think it's a great idea? Or do you say, holy crap, this is absolutely ridiculous. Stop. Common sense tells us we need to stop. You claim that we don't have money while you're dumping money into something that will benefit no one. There's not a benefit for the $100 billion. And I saw the other day that if they truly wanted to do the San Francisco to Los Angeles, it's over $1 trillion. Over $1 trillion. That is, and
so that's a hard no for you.
It is a very hard no.
Do you support continuing or do you pull the plug?
I am a huge fan of high-speed rail, theoretically. But we can see that the way that we're building it is a perfect example of what I'm saying. We're process-driven, not results-driven. The results haven't worked out. But absolutely, should we have high-speed rail in this state? It's fantastic in multiple ways. But we're going to have to do a reset. We're going to have to understand how to actually, it's like housing. Like, we need housing. We're not building housing. We've got to do a reset and understand what do we have to change to get this done in a good way. And this is a critical, and so this is a perfect example of we're throwing money at it. We have a process to do it, but we're not getting results and we're not changing, and we're going to have to change.
High-speed rail. We've already spent more than $14 million. Do you continue or do you cut bait?
I believe it's more than 14 million. Do you want to check your numbers?
Excuse me, 14 billion. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. We've spent more than $14 billion on high-speed rail. Do you continue? Do you cut bait?
Well, so the question here is, can we get this done? That's what the governor's going to have to answer that question, and going to have to look at all the evidence and try to understand.
And as governor, do you think we can?
Well, I don't have all the evidence yet. So what are the slowdowns? What are the causes of it? Are they in the rearview mirror, or are they going to keep happening? So we know there were challenges with permitting. I think I'm told most of those things are in the rearview mirror, but then we have the forward-going challenges on the cost of operation, on the cost of continued construction. Let's be clear, Californians haven't changed their mind. They want this rail. They would like the rail that they were originally voted for and supported, San Francisco to Los Angeles. So what their frustration is that it's not actually built, right? And it's taking longer than they wanted it to, than they were promised it would. I think there's a lesson for any future governor about any kind of infrastructure you're going to undertake. Make sure that you have a realistic, fully funded plan before you embark on the project. And so I think the question to be asked is, can we get the remaining funding, and where is that going to come from? Donald Trump yanking away our federal funding is not helping.
And so your answer is you don't know yet. You don't have enough information yet.
That's right. But I think there are very hard questions that need to be asked and answered. And we need to figure out where the delays come from. Are they things that are going to occur again? So if we have delays because we don't have workers, that has not been the problem. But that is the kind of delay that could keep occurring. If we have delays because it took a long time to permit and now we have those permits, seems like we can pick up the pace and get this rail done.
Look, I think high-speed rail represents everything that has gone wrong in California. Too slow, too expensive, too idealistic. You have an operating segment that we ought to finish and run and learn from. We can't extend beyond that without having a fundamentally different way of building infrastructure. It costs too much per mile. It takes too long. This gets to how we build everything in California. It isn't just high-speed rail. It's all infrastructure. It's water storage. It's housing. It's roads and bridges. We have to rethink our environmental processes, the building code, the layer upon layer of regulation and process we've added. It can't take 20 years to get through all the litigation and all the environmental clearance and secure the land to just get started on a project.
So do you continue though?
I think you finish the segment you're on because we're committed to it. It's half built. We've got a path with the cap and trade dollars to finish that segment. I think you got to finish that segment and deliver it, because it doesn't do anybody any good to put billions into something that sits there not operating. But I wouldn't commit to the next segment without fundamental reform of how we build infrastructure in this state, because it isn't sustainable.
Do you continue the project? Do you kill it?
Not everybody can get on a plane and fly. Not everyone can afford to get on a plane and fly. We need to have the fastest modes and safest modes of transportation available to all of our people. High-speed rail is one of those ways, and it's a proven success. Japan, Europe, China.
How many more billions are you willing to spend?
I'm only willing to spend the money it takes to build it. I'm not willing to spend the money that bureaucracy and legal wrangling has cost us. I'd go back to what I said before, what I've experienced as a CEO of a public enterprise. You sit people down at the beginning. The difficulty with high-speed rail is that we said what we wanted to do. We wanted to go from point A to point Z, essentially Southern California to Northern California. So we launched. We didn't talk to the folks at point D and point Z, L and point K, and guess what? They ended up suing us because they say, hey, that's not the plan that we agreed to. You get everybody down, sit down at the very beginning.
But do you think now you can fix it? Do you think now you can get it done during your term as governor?
I think we can fix it, yes, because the difficulty is all the interference and the interruption between the points. We got to grease the skids. We got to get rid of all the friction, all the money cost that's making it difficult to construct. We will build because we have to build. Look, is there something that the Japanese did, the Europeans did, the Chinese did that we can't do? No. It's just that they didn't probably have to deal with the multiplicity of lawsuits that have delayed this. People are using the regulations as their entree to sue and to delay
And
or
so
to
how
get
do
what
you
they
as
want.
governor stop that?
Well, first, as I said, if I'm sitting you down at the beginning, I'm giving you a chance to tell me what your problem
But
is.
you're not at the beginning. You're coming in the middle.
Well,
$14 billion in the middle.
It'll be for me the beginning.
Okay.
And we go from where we are, and I say, okay, this is where we are. I can't undo a lawsuit necessarily, but I can say, hey, if you're going to sue, if that's the course of action you're going to take, and I'm willing to give you a seat at the table now because we want to launch. And if you really want to launch and you're not just trying to stop it, then you should sit at the table. If you're not willing to sit at the table, then I'm going to use every resource I have to fight your lawsuit, because I got to get rid of that lawsuit, because I got to build a train. And so we're going to get it done, but we're going to remove all the friction, all the cost, extra cost that's kept us from going from point A to point C. We'll do it.
Do you walk away or do you push through?
We can't walk away. Come on, we've spent $14 billion. Urban rail program in Los Angeles was at a standstill because we said we couldn't build in pockets with methane gas I and the federal government actually prohibited money for a subway. I said, let's bring the experts. Let's bring world experts from all over the world to determine if you can build in methane gas pockets. The experts came back and they said yes. And I was able to convince the author, Henry Waxman, who had done legislation saying you can't build, no federal money for those, to change his position. And I think that's what you do here. You look at how did we get to these $14 billion spent without much to show for it? I'll tell you, California Environmental Quality Act, permitting, making decisions that weren't evidence-based. That's what happened. So we're going to review the whole thing. We're going to look at how we find efficiencies. I definitely believe this should be a public-private partnership, not just the state, but the private sector doing this like they do in every other country in the world. All the high-speed rail that you just mentioned were mostly done with public-private partnerships, okay? So we're gonna do a massive investigation into what we've done right, what we haven't, fix what's broken, and move ahead.
How much more money are you willing to spend?
That will depend on what the experts say with respect to how much money we need to spend.
Another $14 billion?
It could be it could be even more. At the end of the day, most of the world has high-speed rail. Most of the developed world has high-speed rail. You've been to some of those countries, I'm assuming, and I know I have. I've been on the Shinkansen. I've been on the high-speed rail line to Shanghai. I've been in the Renfrey in Spain and the high-speed rail in France. We got to get in the 21st century. But there's no question we've got to see what we've spent, how we've spent it, and make the corrections that need to be made.
And we don't appear to be much closer to the end goal. Do you continue or do you cut bait and move on?
I believe we have to continue. The leg that we are about to complete and finish is the backbone of the system. So if you wanted to start in San Francisco and go all the way down to Southern California, this is the piece that has to be completed to essentially support the rest of the system. I will say, having gone to the Central Valley and seeing all the assets that have been put in place for that particular segment, the amount of pride and the palpability of the excitement about new housing and economic opportunities in that region is through the roof. So I do think we have to finish it. We're going to rein in costs, but the way that I want to rein in costs is I want to look for private investment in this system. Doesn't mean the state gives up control. We're still going to have control over safety regulations and just the operations, but we need capital for this project. And the federal government has decided, no, they don't want to be funding any of this project. Cap and trade, $1 billion a year is not going to go very far. The private investment, so that we can actually look at what are we going to build around these corridors that are going to be touched by this system. And I think that's a revenue generator, and that's a public-private partnership that I believe is really something that can work and can give us the additional tools of capital, but also at the same time begin to really have these communities think about what's possible in terms of new economic opportunities. People always talk about, and I've not yet gone to Japan, but they come back and say, the system works so great there. Well, I actually happened to take a look at the system in Japan, public-private. So they develop a lot of activity, housing and businesses around the corridors. Everything is convenient. The system has to be convenient. It's got to be clean. It's got to be safe. It's got to be reliable. And if you have economic activity around where people are getting on, off, and along the way, we can actually make the system sustainable.
High-speed rail.
Okay, I support it.
We've spent $14 billion. Do we continue spending or do we walk away?
I think we've invested enough that we're not ready to walk away. There's no question that there have been delays. Much of that probably just trying to assemble all the various pieces of land that would go into high-speed rail. I see it moving forward with more success, and I think we have to double down on high-speed rail. Now, to a point, nothing is without limit. We have to show the people of California that their dollars are going to be well spent. But I believe that California knows how to can do innovation, and we have to show that we can provide high-speed rail, that this will be a tremendous benefit to the people of California.
Why do you think we haven't been able to do it thus far?
Largely because of the time it's taken to assemble the properties. They're under different ownership.
But $14 billion trying to assemble properties? I mean, that's a lot.
It's a long process. It's a litigious process, getting control of other properties. And so there are probably some unexpected bumps. And people have a right to be critical. Like I said, I support it, but to a point. If we don't begin to see results, we're not going to support it forever. And I think people deserve to see results. I still believe in it, and I think it can be a great benefit for the people of our state.